on. Let me get the video ready. All right. Oh.
Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have some fun, whether we have lost or we have won. For all things Miami, it's Dolphins Thursday.
Hello, Miami Dolphin fans. How are you doing? I'm Rob Mosley, a.k.a. Dolphins Thirsty, and Steve, my buddy, another great Dolphin fan, Steve Malloy of Real Talk Fins Talk on the Fins Talk Sports Network, and also of the Dolphin Thirsty Network. So you're very busy. You're very popular, Steve. Everyone wants you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you? How's Houston out there?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It is another 112, 115 heat day. So I'm just here roasting. But no, it's good. I like the heat, so it doesn't bother me too much. I'd rather be hot than cold.
Yeah. So on the front of every single YouTube person that's on Miami Dolphins YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they're all talking about one name, and there's no one on the Dolphins right now, and it's actually Jonathan Taylor. First, even though I know where you stand, first I'm going to ask you a question. As the roster stands right now, I know what this answer is too, but let everyone out here in YouTube land know, what's your prediction for the Miami Dolphins record as the roster stands right now?
Oh, I've been saying from the beginning, the ending of last year and the beginning of the preseason this year, 11-6 for sure. The way the roster stands now, 11-6, I think is realistic.
Okay, so now, even though I know your answer, where do you stand on the Dalvin Cook? Given the Dolphins don't have to give up too much draft competition, but you get Dalvin Cook. Well, I mean, Dalvin, I said the wrong name. Sorry. Jonathan Taylor. I got to get the old name out of the book. So, Jonathan Taylor, where do you stand? Do you want Jonathan Taylor on the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, I definitely want Jonathan Taylor. I think he'd be a great addition to the Dolphins offense. He would definitely help Tua. He'd help the whole offense. He's an all-around back. You know, he's elite. You know, he's a top 3-4 running back, and that's something we haven't had since Ricky Williams.
Okay.
So
now my follow-up to that follow-up. So if we get him like you want him, you like Jonathan Taylor on the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. My first question to you was, as the roster stands down, what's your record prediction? You said 11-6. Mm-hmm. You wake up tomorrow morning, you read Jonathan Taylor has been traded to the Miami Dolphins. And I asked you that same question tomorrow evening. We do another show, say, because it'll be breaking news. I asked you, what is the Dolphins' record now that we have Jonathan Taylor? Does it change?
Yeah, I think we can get another game out of it. I think it'd probably be 12-5.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, yeah, another game, and that could be the difference of you know, having a better playoff spot, having a home game in the playoffs, and
absolutely
like that, or winning the division or not winning the division. So you know, so that is substantial. So I would take that. What I'd be interested to see what the experts out in Vegas would do if the Dolphins land.
Yeah.
You know, Jonathan Taylor, would they move? Because the needle didn't move when we signed Ramsey, and it didn't move when we lost him due to injury. But I wonder if Vegas would move the needle if the Dolphins sign. I wonder if they would bundle up to like 10.5 games or something like that. I wonder if there'd be a difference, or they don't value running backs that much. What do you think? Do you think it would bump? I'm not a gambler, so I don't really know, but I was just logically, do you think they would bump up the projected win total for Miami?
I'm not a gambler either, but I'm going to venture to say that, they probably would move the needle somewhat. What do they have it now? 9.5?
Yeah, 9.5. Yeah, they have it at 9.5. Meaning
I think they raise that needle up to about a 10, maybe 10.5 for sure.
So it does move the needle.
I think so.
And, you know what's another interesting thought I thought about? on Jonathan Taylor.
Uh-huh.
Say if you go back in time, instead of picking on equal with our last pick we had 3 first-round picks in the 2020 draft. Instead of taking equal,
Right.
a lot of Dolphin fans were calling for Jonathan Taylor back then. So
Mm-hmm.
say if we took him then, are we going to be in the same position that the Colts are right now with a disgruntled running back? Or because then if we had taken him in the first round, we would even be able to have the option of really making him bad by picking up we would have probably picked up his 5th-year team option already. And then, then you'll really be disgruntled because, oh my God, I got me control for 2 more years at low pay. So my question to
Mm-hmm.
you, do you think we'd be like almost better we didn't get him because he'd be disgruntled on us and probably be demanding a trade somewhere else, wanting to be paid? Or would we have taken care of him
Wow.
somehow?
That's a good question. It's hard to make that assumption. I don't know. Right? The circumstances would have been different back then. I mean, look at the roster we have now, right?
Right.
I mean, we're supposed to be, a top 4 roster, right? Back then,
Yes.
we were nowhere near that. We didn't have Tyreek. We didn't have Waddle, right?
Right. Correct. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
yeah,
didn't have.
right. Because we got Waddle, then next, yeah,
Mhm.
right. You are 100% correct.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had Waddle. We wouldn't have had some of the folks that we have presently on the defense. We wouldn't have had Fangio. It's a whole different circumstance. What did the Colts do with him when
And
he
Moya
when they?
TV.
What have the Colts done since they got him as a running back?
I know that's the thing, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, I think, I agree with you 100%. Does he make the team better? Yes. But does he, because if you hear some fans, they're like, oh, he's just like when it was Dalvin Cook a few weeks ago. He's the difference. He's going to be the one to get us into the Super Bowl. Now it's all of a sudden, hey, Adam, didn't see you sneak in there somehow. Fins up as always, Adam. So, Adam, I asked that question. Where do you stand in Adam and Moya and Shirley on where the yes or no for Taylor? And then if yes, does he change the Dolphins record any? Let's see. I
Yeah,
think this better JT gonna clarify it.
I'm not saying if we were to pick up or trade for
Ender. Yeah.
Taylor that we're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying he probably gives us a better chance.
Right.
And I'm basing that on our offense now. The piece that we're missing, and we got good running backs right now, but they're not a top 3. They may not even be a top 15, top
Right. We
20.
have a solid running back room.
It's
We don't
solid
have
running back
right.
committee, and right now Wilson hasn't even been playing, so we don't know what he's even going to look like when he does come back 100%.
Hey, Shake Money. You guys had you guys are the marathon station. I give you guys kudos. You're always out there putting great
Yep.
content. I got to get on your show one of these days. Steve, you should too. We should somehow get on one of their shows and hope
Oh,
he
I
invites us.
check it
You're
out from
always
time
welcome
to
to come to
time.
always welcome to come to my show, of course. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
the little
check.
minnow in the big pond of dolphins out there. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's all good. He puts on a good show, guys. Check him out on the Fins Tailgate. Good stuff all
Absolutely.
the time. And they got marathon doer. I think Kohler's been on for the past 30 hours.
Yeah, it
It
seems
seems
like
like.
it.
Yeah, hey, but it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I think he helps a lot, but I'm cool with that's where I kind of stand at him. I'm fine. I'm not like it's not all in on him. All my chips. If they need like the money, believe me, the Dolphins are finding a way to maneuver people's money. I don't think it's the money issue so much as it is
Mm-hmm.
if Indianapolis is like holding hard for a first round draft pick. I just don't see unless some other team steps up there and puts that on the table, and then Miami would have to match it. That's what I think. Hey, here's another great network.
Well,
Who's there's Bobby Finn's Talk, guys.
Bobby, how you doing, Bobby?
So he's a good one, and he's on the Finn's Talk Sports Network. And I know where Bobby stands in on where he wants Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby, if you're listening, I think I don't remember exactly where you put the Dolphins. I don't know if you said 11-6, 12-5, somewhere in that neighborhood as the roster stands now. If the Dolphins make the trade, do you bump up that win total with the addition of Jonathan Taylor? Let me know, Bobby. I would like to know that.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Rob.
Yep, go, man.
And I'm going to ask the folks out there in chat as well.
Wait, hold on. I had to put you in the host seat because now you're going to ask me the question. So
Okay,
go
I'm going to
ahead.
ask you the question. So, all right. We've got, if we get Jonathan Taylor, and we have, and the present running backs we have, remember, we have A-Chain. We have Mostert, we have Wilson, we have Ingold. Okay. So our running back room should be set for the next 3-4 years, right?
Right.
All right. Everybody's saying Tua is our franchise. A lot of folks are saying Tua is our franchise quarterback. I disagree, but assuming, let's just say everybody's saying that Tua is our franchise quarterback. So now we're set at quarterback. We got Tyreek and we got Waddle. All right, Tyreek's going to be with us. He's already said he's going to retire in another couple years.
10 years, right.
Yeah. But you still got Waddle and you still have a young receiving core.
Well, you got to pay Waddle, though.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay Waddle, but follow me for a second.
I know I am.
All right.
I put you in the whole seat, man.
And then, all right, tight end. Yeah, we could upgrade definitely a tight end, right? Offensive line, for sure. We could upgrade it offensive line for sure. As it stands right now. Our defense, we got Vic Fangio. We got most of our pieces on defense. I mean, as it stands now, I would say it's going to be a top 10 defense, maybe better, right? At least that's how I see it, in my opinion.
But yes.
So why, if we have a top 4 offense, I mean a top 4 rated off roster, and we do have a top 6 offense, and we might have a projection of a top 10 defense, then why in the hell are we not going to go get Jonathan Taylor if we have all those pieces and we think we're about it? We're only missing that one link.
So, right. I understand. So you're saying you're going to take the Rams way a couple of years ago. This be all in.
Yeah.
Basically, let's see, we're PG-13 here, but I would say F those picks. You know, like what people do. Oh, F those picks. You know, so that's like the term being thrown around on the internet. So, but you know, historically, if you look at teams that win, they're normally teams that build through the draft. And when this whole process started, this is what Stephen Ross, that was a bill of goods they all sold us. Like, hey, we're going to build through the draft so we have long staying, we can have long sustained success, which I was thinking, okay, great, as long as they hit their picks. Obviously, they missed and hit just like any NFL team, missed some picks and hit some picks. So, but somewhere in the win, something changed, and then they went all out, and they traded for Tyreek Hill, traded for Chubb, and then, of course, Ramsey, they traded, but, that was later and not for much draft compass. Mm-hmm. But you traded 2 players that you had to give a bag of money right away. So then all of a sudden they went from, we're going to build through the draft to giving draft picks away, like, Jeff Ireland and Tannenbaum used to do, like, who needs draft picks, So to me, that was a little disappointing. So 11-6 with the Ram. I believe in depth or secondary. All right. I don't know, Bobby. I don't know if you're a gambler. Steve and I aren't. We were wondering if the Dolphins should acquire him. Does right before the regular season starts, does it bump up the win total in Vegas? Right now we're at 9.5, or does it not move the needle in Vegas? I don't know. I don't gamble enough. I know like a franchise quarterback moved the needle for the Jets, but I don't know outside of that if anyone if they even mess with the line for a team acquiring a player. But anyway, I agree. There's no doubt. I can't look at myself in the mirror and with a straight face and say Taylor does not include the Miami Dolphins. But as long as it doesn't come with a number 1 draft pick, McDaniels hasn't even had a number 1 draft pick since he's been our head coach. Got to give the man some cheaper talent to work with. And I also don't want to, it comes at the cost of not being able to sign a Jalen Phillips, a Jalen, all of them. Jalen Waddle. Who else was out there that's a young talent that's eventually going to have to be? Tua's going to have to, of course, eventually be paid if he pans out to be the quarterback we hope he is. All right. He's saying, boom, I'm not a gambler, but yes, he believes that Vegas bumps the win total. So that's cool. And guys, remember, Finn's Talk Sports Network. After you watch us tonight, go watch The Bandwagon and over there, and it's always a good show. I will probably drop in too. But anyway, Steve, so I agree with that. I do find it funny, though, that Mike McDaniel, let's see, I'll put myself back in the host. I'm going to take the captain seat for 1 minute. And then, let's see, Mike McDaniel, when he was asked about it, I thought he had kind of a funny reaction. He said there have been multiple. I mean, this is a question. There have been multiple reports that the Dolphins have made an offer for the coach for Jonathan Taylor. Are those reports accurate? Here's the things. First of all, I think my 2.5 year old daughter just tweeted a report. Credence to that. I think as far as that goes, it seems like that every player in the National Football League, this is what I always say, is what made me laugh, is coming to the Dolphins because I feel like that's kind of a trend. So whatever that is, I've said before, I'm not going to speak about other players, but I think it's funny to kind of see our coach have a little humor. And because I always say that too, it seems like whenever a player becomes on the market, every single Dolphin fan just assume, oh, we're going to get him. And, every player is going to push us over to that next, I hope we're that good, boy. TV chimes in. So, like I said, I don't know. I think he does move the needle. I do think you could get an extra game out of him. But last year, we were running the ball great against Buffalo in the regular season, and we still went away from it. But maybe with McDaniel with that in his mind, saying, "Oh, I also have Dalvin Cook in my back pocket." Maybe I keep on to say Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
I mean, was what pounded in my head for like 3 weeks. Dalvin Cook. So Jonathan Taylor. So maybe if he knows he has him in his back pocket, then maybe he would be a little more like stick to the running game because he abandoned it. I don't care. I still think we win last year if we don't abandon the running game up there in the regular season. Moser puts Buffalo up, and for inexplicably they stopped running. Yada yada. We lost the game right on at the field goal. But so do you think maybe Jonathan Taylor would make it a little more easy for our coach McDaniel to stick with the running game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's an elite back, I mean, he's a top 3-4 running back. I mean, you would have to be a moron to not, utilize his skill set. So yeah, but remember now, McDaniels, even before the Delvin Cook, the Taylor, the Shaquan Barkley, we were in the market for Swift, even that other running back that was with Detroit. So we've been kind of shopping around for running backs, playing with the idea. But the bottom line is, even with all that said, he did say that they were going to run the ball more, and he felt that he should have ran the ball more last year. And for sure, like you said, you pointed out, he should have. We could have, we were running pretty good against the Los Angeles Chargers, and we abandoned the run again.
Yeah,
and
we
went exactly back we played right into their hands again. All these teams that were doing the same thing to us, bumping our running backs, throwing off the timing, and we were throwing right down the middle again when our players, they just weren't open, or there wasn't we didn't check down when we should have. So, and the check downs were there, but we were intent on throwing the ball to Tua. I mean, Tua was intent on throwing the ball to Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah.
So,
I can't believe I said Dalvin Cook because all day I was telling myself, when you're talking about Jonathan Taylor, don't say Jason Taylor, because I want to keep on saying Jason Taylor. And then as a Red Sox fan, we have Justin Turner now, and they all go by JT. The Dolphins fans used to call Jason Taylor JT. Red Sox fans call Justin Turner JT. So I said all day, don't call him, whatever you do, Rob, don't say Jason Taylor or Justin Turner. And then I come here and say Dalvin Cook. I should have told myself, don't say Dalvin Cook. But I have an excuse because they pounded that name in my head for literally 3 weeks. And Dalvin.
Oh, it was longer than that. It felt like a whole year.
Yeah, I know. So I give myself a break. I give myself off the hook. But anyway, so now moving on. Okay, hey, yeah, I know, Evan, and I'll make sure I cut my show a little bit short tonight to make sure we catch you guys on the Fins Talk Sports Network, and that's Evan, the host of the Bandwagon on the Fins Talk Sports Network. But anyway. Okay, so that's it. Everyone's out there, all the big channels, all the do the Dolphin, they're all out there yapping out Jonathan Taylor. Let's just move on from that topic because we don't know until we wake up tomorrow morning and see if anything's happening.
Well, they said, I think the Jonathan Taylor agent, I think he's given the team organization, Colts have given a soft deadline of Tuesday. Of course, that
Right.
doesn't mean it won't be Wednesday or Thursday, but they're giving a soft deadline for them to come up with and have a deal done by Tuesday.
Yeah, I
So
know.
we'll
It's not
see.
a hard deadline, like you said, because it's not the trade deadline,
No,
in the middle of the
no, no.
seasons, but
Mm-mm.
teams do kind of want to figure out what's going on with their
Right,
roster.
right.
So here we go. Now let's move on to today's topics of the players that's actually on the
Mm-hmm.
team. So were you happy to see Tua fire back shots and jabs at Ryan Clark? We won't get into his apology yet, but were you happy to see Tua, or do you think he should have just ignored those comments, or are you happy that he returned fire?
I don't care one way or the other.
All
I
right.
real I
I thought
really
it was
don't.
cool.
I
I
mean,
do. I thought it was kind of cool. It's
yeah.
just because he's always known to be quiet. I like that a little salty to him.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
it
of
was
course,
nice. It was nice to see him say something. It was kind of funny. I mean, it was like two kids in high school, firing back
yeah,
at each other. That's
yeah,
my feeling on it. I mean, come on. Everybody getting their panties in a wad because somebody on a national network, right, said something, his opinion about Tua. That's what he does. That's what he gets paid to
I
do.
know, but I
You
think it's
know,
not so much if he would have said, "Oh, I don't think Tua's good," I don't think fans would have cared. I think it's just like when he starts ripping his diet and saying he's looking like a woman at the
right,
at the
right,
club or something. I
right.
think that's when people thought it went
Yeah.
a little overboard. I was just wondering. I knew because I know Tua's such a big take, and I know your stance on Tua, so I was just
Mhm.
wondering where you stood on the
No,
Tua front.
I don't care one way or the other. But I will say this. I will say this. I stood right next to Tua, shook his hand, and got his autograph
Yeah,
last week when I went to the joint practices, and he definitely does look a lot. He doesn't look fat for sure. I even
yeah,
made a joke about it myself a couple times.
yeah,
I said he might have had too many hamburgers, but he's solid. He's solid. He's definitely, you can see where he's bulked up a little bit, with some muscle.
yeah.
And here's another good point. If you haven't seen him throwing the ball, and I know folks have, especially the Houston game, but in those joint practices when I watched him, his arm is definitely looks a little stronger.
Yeah.
Definitely looks, no doubt, his arm looks a little stronger.
Well, no, that's good. Let's just hope it works out. He's worked
Mhm.
out. He's worked hard this offseason. So, I knew that was just a little trolling, I think, by Brian Clark. He got called to the carpet and came out with an apology and whatever.
You know
So,
what? I wouldn't apologize. If you said it, then why'd you say it? I
yeah,
mean,
I know.
then you're gonna
Well, his
apologize.
was that he was teasing, but, that's
Yeah,
why, that's the same
I
thing I would
know,
say to,
I know,
that's the
I
same
know,
thing I
I
say if
know.
I say something to my wife. That's like, well, I was just joking, I try to throw that one. It
Yeah.
doesn't work as well. So,
Yeah. No, it don't. It don't. That's why you just shut up. You said it, and that's it.
Yeah. Stop the presses. Pigs do fly. Malloy is coming around. But anyway, I know you're going to have to leave, Evan. But before you do, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Like here on YouTube, they call it a thumbs up. But anyway, now moving on to the next quarterback situation.
Mhm.
Mike White will not play this week. Even though he's practiced, they say he's not going to play. So do you think this cements that if Skylar Thompson goes out and looks awful, and maybe not. But if he goes out and does what he did like he did last preseason, and then like he did this past game, he goes out there. Do you think he cements QB2 just because of the misfortune of Mike White getting hurt, or do you think
You
Mike White
I
returns and
I
bumps him?
I know. I think that's going to be a fluid. It's going to be fluid as far as the second and third string at this time. I mean, he did it last year, right? I mean, Skylar Thompson had some good practices, and he bumped him up over Teddy Bridgewater. Now, grant you, Bridgewater did get hurt, um, but no, I think that's going to be fluid. I think they're gonna make adjustments to throughout the season. Whoever has good practices, whoever looks good that week, and
Right,
I'm hoping they make it a point to get the second, whoever the second string quarterback is, get him some first string snaps, not with the second team or the scout team, first team, get him playing with
right,
some of the first team. And that was what's lacking last year when both Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson came in there. But no, to answer your question, no, I don't think that even though Skylar Thompson looked really good, he looked really good last year too.
right.
Um, So no, it's not set in stone who the backup
Right.
is at this time. At
Maybe
this
for
point in
week
time.
one, just because Mike White will be coming off not much reps, and Skylar's going to have a little
Yeah,
more.
yeah, week 1, yeah, for sure, yeah, because he's still in concussion protocol.
Yeah, I know exactly. So
Yeah.
from if what Mike McDaniel said is true, Tua's going to play some this week.
Mm-hmm.
Said a few series could be a half or whatever. So somewhere you're going to see him a little bit coming up more than just a couple of drives. We saw him this last time. So that's good on that front because he needs, because now we're going to have like 2 weeks off. The Dolphins are going to have 2
Right.
weeks off after
Right.
that. So you got to get some action in there. Or you're just
Yeah.
going to come out flat.
For sure.
So anyway, so he's going to play some. Then we're going to see Skylar. And then we're going to see Blackman, getting something. He said that he did say that Blackman's going to get some reps. And he deserved it because the guy was basically, in their all training camp body treated as, and didn't even get, got nailed before he got any preseason action. They got rid of him. So it's kind of cool they brought him back and let the man play. Maybe he can show something enough for another team to say, hey, he could be our third string quarterback or something.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, he had a couple nice passes in practice. No, I didn't see it, but from what I've heard, I know Omar Kelly mentioned it, and some others that he threw a couple good passes today. And Tua had a good day, by the way.
And it is good that Tanner Connor and Brandon Jones, so some guys are returning to practice, so that is good. Cam Smith is back practicing. So we do have some good news finally on the injury front after
Absolutely
a preseason of getting bumps and bruises,
I think Tanner Connor's behind the 8 ball,
So you're
I don't
telling
know.
me that Tanner Connor's not going to get 15 touchdowns that Hank predicted?
I don't think so.
Hank had him at all pro, man. Hank had him, getting ready for a Hall of Fame career.
I think Tanner Connor is going to be on the practice squad, or he might even be cut.
Yeah. Well, he might be cut, and then hopefully they can get, who knows? It's going to be, because I know people are saying Julian Hill's really looking good, and they'll be afraid to expose him.
Yeah, I think Julian Hill with our tight end group, and trust me, it's not the greatest tight end group in the world.
Yeah.
I think Julian Hill has a good chance of not making the practice squad, making the 53, only because of his he's built like a tight end. He has all the looks of a tight end. He can block and he can catch the ball. And I think he has a really good chance of making his 53-man roster.
Right, and the tight end coach, out of his own words, said there's only one lock on the tight end room.
Yeah,
and that's Durham Smythe. He's the only lock to make the team. Then you got a bunch of other guys. Salbert, Croft, who is probably in the number 2 spot right now. Croft
I agree with that.
On the reports, we're not out there scouting him every day. We're not out there being the coach. But from what the leaks are coming out, it seems like Croft has moved to number 2. So then that really leaves how many tight ends are they going to keep? Because it's going to depend on how many running backs they keep, how many tight ends, of course, that we're talking about. But, so all that factors, how many receivers are we going to keep? So that all factors in, like, where are we going to put our, whatever players, position players that actually touch the ball. How are we going to slot it,
Yeah.
And, skilled players. I don't like using that term because to me, offensive linemen are very skilled, but that's the term that people like to use. Skilled players, how many are we going to keep at each spot? Because I think every team's going to carry 3 quarterbacks. So that's one extra spot off the active roster right there. So it's going to be 3 quarterbacks. Then it's going to be down to how many running backs we keep, how many tight ends, and how many receivers. I'm going to be interesting to see how they flex that. So
yeah,
I think
it will be interesting.
There's basically maybe 4 to 5 locks in the receiver room. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, total lock. Waddle, total lock. Barrios at this time. Braxton Berrios at this time is a total lock because of his punt return skills and all that. I don't know. And then Cedric Wilson, barring a trade, is a lock because of his contract. Because you lose all that money if you just cut him. So you're going to have nothing for him. There's a $7 million cap hit if you cut him, or $7 million if you pay him. So you might as well play him. So he's going to make it. So that's 4. So then it comes down to Easy, Chosen, and then, I don't think Braylon Sand. We haven't heard much. So he's another guy that can try to stick on the practice squad again. They seem to like him. They always keep him around.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And
well, don't forget Craycraft.
Oh, Craycraft. Another, I think Craycraft makes it. I knew I was forgetting someone.
Well, I don't know.
I left my list in another
I
room.
I know we
So,
want all. I know we love our Miami Dolphins players, and we want all of them to make the team, but it's just
of
not like
course,
that. You know,
but he
you've
does
got
play
like
special teams. That's why I think he might make it
yeah,
over
yeah.
Chosen Anderson if
You
it
might
comes
you
down.
might have a good point there. We got Waddle, we got Tyreek, then you got Barrios, you got Easy E, you've got Craycraft, you've got Chosen. That's 6, right?
Right.
And you got Braylon Sanders, and you got the other guy, Darwood. Is
Oh
it
yeah,
Darwood?
David Davis. David
Daywood
Davis.
Davis. Yeah,
Or
you got
Dave
8.
Wu, something like that. I know who you're
Yeah,
talking
you
about.
got
I
8.
knew I
You
was
got 8
forgetting some. I had the
receivers.
same list you probably had, and I left it in another room during my preparation.
Yeah,
But those are the names I just ran off the
we
top of
have
my
8
head.
wide receivers, and I don't think we're going to keep more than
6, maybe.
maybe 5 and 1 on the practice squad.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
because then how many running backs are we going to keep? Because my locks at
Well,
running back,
who do you
we're not
have?
going to count Tyler because she's not on the Dolphins. As we
Right, of
stand
course.
right here
Mhm,
today, we're going to say locks are Mozart's obviously a lock.
mhm,
Ahmed to me has locked up a position with his
mhm.
performance in training camp and just past the game
Right,
you attended in Houston.
right.
So those two. A chain, even if he's banged up, he may be hopefully he's not banged up for a long time. But anyway, so those 3 are definite locks.
Did you mention
Now
Wilson?
I used to no, not yet. That's what I'm saying. I used to have Wilson as a lock, but I'm
Mhm,
not so sure if he's a lock anymore with how Brooks has been playing. But I
mhm.
would lean Wilson just because of his history with Coach McDaniel,
Right,
and he could have signed otherwhere, but he's chose to stay with Miami. So sometimes some of that loyalty comes into play and stuff.
right.
So I don't know. Maybe if they can move a Wilson or something to a good situation for him. But if he makes it, then Brooks, that's the only way. I mean, Wilson, if you would have asked me earlier, he was a definite lock. He was in my top 2 of the locks. Of how he hasn't
Right.
been available so much this this preseason
Mhm.
makes me wonder if he says lock or do they stats him on a PUP lesson, let a few weeks go by and say, oh, he's banged up, on the list. But you would have to put him on the roster first and then put him on the
Mhm.
PUP and then hope that whoever
Well,
who knows what
how
they're
about
going to do.
how about Gaskins and Ahmed?
I know that's what I said, but no, they're not locked to me. Ahmed, like I
Mhm,
said, is to me. He's
mhm.
proven he's like I said at the game you were at and everything. He proved. I
Right,
think he's the lock. Coming
right.
into the season, I went in to say he's the lock, but I think he is. So I mean, now we're down to really. We all love Brooks. Everyone on the Fins Talk Sports Network, on here on Dolphins Thursday, we all like what we've seen of Brooks. But I just don't know if he's a lock on this team, especially if you go out and get Jonathan Taylor. Then
Oh,
then everyone
yeah.
everything's open game at that point.
Yeah. I mean, we thought Dokes was gonna be pretty good for us, Gerald Dokes, and then we also thought that the guy we had last year, what was his name, White, Laquandra White or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that,
right. I know things
and
happen, whatever. I
you
know
know,
it's
so
we had that one year of Adam Gase where we had Jay Ajayi. We thought we had a running back for a few years, and then
mm-hmm.
he got injured and was never really a big thing again, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
it
true.
just happens at the running back spot. But
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, we're doing okay on that front. And then where else? Let's get to the defense real quick. What were you reading about? Tell us what Omar Kelly said about the safety position or whoever it was you were
Oh,
telling me about
yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Omar Kelly was saying that, yeah, and these aren't, this isn't in stone, but he in his projections he sees Eli Apple. Who did I say? Eli Apple.
Deshaun Elliott, I know you said.
Yeah, Deshaun Elliott and the linebacker Audrey Miller. He can see those 3. Well, he can see Audrey Miller making the 53. And Eli Apple and Deshaun Elliott as the starters right now. By
Okay.
far. He said by far they're looking to be the starters. Those
So
two, the
Eli, I
safety and
guess
cornerback.
Eli at cornerback opposite McDaniel. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
Xavier Howard,
Yeah.
and then Elliott next to Holland back there, and
And then you
then
got
Miller,
Kohu playing the boundary.
right, and then Miller. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? That was what he was saying. Okay, so I
That's
don't
what he
know.
was
Who knows
saying.
what they're going to do?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, hey,
I
I mean, his guess is just as good as us, you know?
Yeah, I don't think, and it's maybe it's not fair to Brandon Jones that I say this, but because we haven't seen much of him in this defense this year, I don't think I don't think he's a fit for Fangio's defense because Brandon Jones is terrible at covering. He's just terrible,
Yeah.
and
I mean, his game is, he's
Fangio wants versatile defensive backs and cornerbacks, and
yeah.
Brandon Jones doesn't fit that bill.
Hey, Scotty, by the way, as always, welcome. Fins up. And guys, if you're in here, please give a thumbs up, fins up to our channel. Thank you so much. You guys rock. But yeah, I know. I mean, there's a good thing on the defense. The report seems to be that David Long is looking really good. And he's described as a guy that can run and hit by Fangio, but he also called him he threw that word flashy still in there, which was like his knock on him early. So he's improving, it seems, but Fangio still took that little dig. Oh, he can make some flashy plays. But I think
But
that's
he's
his way of saying,
but he's still the best linebacker on our
oh
team.
no, he's gonna be, if he stays healthy. I hate that disclaimer, but I know in Tennessee he had his issues staying healthy. And his old coach him and caught him out on it. So hopefully he comes here, he stays healthy. Right. And I do think he's an upgrade at our linebacker position.
For sure.
Because he is fast. He's not afraid to hit. You saw that play at the game you were at. Tackled their running back for a 3-yard loss. So it was, good to see him come up and nail them like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, he was doing that he was doing that in all of the joint practices and all this year too. So he's consistent in that respect, that he's been making some impact plays and he has flashed in all of the camp, all through camp. But the problem is, can he be consistent?
Yeah. Well, Scotty wants to know, why do you say that Brandon Jones is terrible in pass coverage?
Look up his pass coverage ranking. Look at him. He's terrible in pass coverage. He's a good in the down in the box type of safety, blitzing the quarterback. He might even be good against the run, but passing skills, he sucks. He's terrible.
Oh my God, you dropped a sucks on. That's really bad. That's really terrible. Oh my God. I don't know about that. But
he does. He's terrible. He's terrible.
I know people that, like I said, I'm more of a guy that I'm not going to. I know Scotty sometimes breaks down film, so maybe he can give his.
No, he's a good player. No, don't get me wrong. He's a good player. He's just not good in coverage.
Because I know he makes some impact plays, and yes, I watch all the games, of course, but I'm not a guy that will go back and break down the all 22 like some of you guys do. I know you do at times, Steve, and you see like the coverages. I admit I don't do that. I'm not going to go pay for all 22. Let's see, if you're going by, let's see, PFF, you're doing something good.
No, I'm not going by PFF. I'm going by my eyeballs right now. But I know that PFF has, if you do watch PFF, and I'm sure, I mean, not PFF, the all 22, Scotty, you will see that his pass covering ability is not there. It really isn't. I'm not saying he doesn't make some good plays in pass coverage, but he's not the type of player, in my opinion, Scotty, that Vic Fangio needs back there.
That's funny, Scotty. Hey, he reviews all the 22. He says, I mean, for the preseason games and whatever.
My eyes see it different, but that's okay. We can disagree.
Like you say, as long as we agree that we want the Dolphins to win, that's what you're saying. Always is. We may disagree. What's it saying? Something like that you start our other show with every Tuesday night. You say something like that, Steve, right? We may disagree, but we can all agree we want the Dolphins to win. Is that more or less what you say? All right.
Yeah, basically I say we may not always agree everything Dolphins, but there's one thing we can agree on. We're all Miami Dolphin fans.
Yeah, I know. That's what you say. There you go. So I more or less got it.
Yeah, I got you, Scotty. No problem, brother. I no problem, man. I got you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what just makes fun. We reach out to Dolphin fans. That's what we make. And Scotty, I'm happy you came watch us. I know there's a lot of big boys out there on the Big Boy Network with a lot more subscribers than us rolling live. So for you to give us time, all you guys, more hammer time, a big fins up to all you guys. Thank you so much. But anyway, Steve, there's not too much more to talk about. Obviously, now if the Dolphins pull the trigger for a teller, there's going to be a whole bunch of news. Tuesday, there's going to be a whole bunch of news because that's the cut down date.
Right.
So we're going to see who makes it. So I know you're saying you think you're undrafted free agent that looks like he might make the team's Aubrey Miller. How about Philly? I
Yeah.
probably pronounces his name right. The big defensive interior lineman from
Um,
USC. What's
yeah,
his?
I think Peely will make the practice squad. I'd be surprised. I would be very surprised if he made the 53. I'm not saying he can't, but I see him making the practice squad for sure.
And I know you're saying that you think him and Julian Hill may make the may
He's
make
got a good
got a good
chance. He's got
chance.
definitely got a good chance of making the 53, especially with our tight end room, and now that Salbert is hurt, so he has a good
Yeah.
chance, I think.
Yeah, no, this
We,
53 is going to be crazy. But it's good, though. It's
yeah,
good. That means the Dolphins are
yeah,
getting better if it's going to be hard to cut down to
yeah. We got a
53.
good problem. That's a good problem to have for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to be. And what's weird is that it all happens on the one day. But
Hmm.
almost everyone, Joe Rose said, "Oh, I would have loved that just if it was just one day." He goes, because when you're like a borderline player, you're like every
Hmm.
cut date, you're like, "Oh my God, they're going to knock on my door." He said, "At least you're like you can relax, go focus on your job, knowing
Yeah.
that most likely they did cut a couple people here and there just to make roster spots. They cut the linebacker
Hmm.
Rose, not Joe
Hmm.
Rose, no relation, just happened to be Rose after I said Joe Rose, so they cut him."
Yep.
And whatever. So anyway, salute Jamaican from Zion, JFC. Thank you for coming in. You've been in here before. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, there are some, a lot of us, you know, like Nelson. He's another guy that's a undrafted free agent that's looking pretty
Yeah,
good. So
I like Nelson as a good. He's a good special teams contributor. If he
right,
makes it at all, it's going to be on those abilities of his special teams.
right.
Um, you know, um, but yeah,
No, I mean that's what I said.
we'll
I
see.
mean,
We'll
most
see.
of the time undrafted free agents, and we're a good team, so it'd be surprising. But yet there are rumors of a couple undrafted free agents quite possibly making our team. But hey,
Hmm.
Tuesday, 4 p.m., we're going to know when all the words and all the people start. It
Yep,
could even come
for
sooner
sure.
than that because teams are going to be starting announcing picks and all of that,
Hmm.
and that means cuts and all of that. So
Hmm.
we'll see. Hopefully, though, like Scotty says, that there's a lot of. Oh yeah, there's another name. Ulave, he looked pretty well too. Who was it? Our offensive line
Yeah,
guru.
Ulov, the center. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
offensive
center.
lineman. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Again, he's probably a practice squad player.
Yeah, so I do believe some undrafted guys will make the practice squad for sure.
Yeah, they're going to
And
be
it looks like
16,
they have.
16, 16 on the practice squad. Remember that.
Yeah, I know that's added down, and you can
Hmm.
protect some of them every week. And then some you can only do it for so long, but at least you'll be able to protect them. So do you think the Dolphins would carry the three quarterbacks? I guess you agree with me on that take, right? Of the emergency quarterback rule.
Oh yeah, they're going to carry three quarterbacks.
Yeah. And the rule is like he can be, and it doesn't really count. You don't have to make him inactive, but you can only bring him in if your guys get hurt. But I don't know. It's a
Right.
long rule. I read the rules and stuff. So it's changed a little bit from the old quarterback rule. It used to be like if your emergency quarterback came in, you can't go back to your other quarterbacks. They changed that a little bit,
Mhm.
but he can no longer come back if you bring back your other. It's like weird. I was like, oh my God, I don't know how all
Yeah.
that they know it, but
Yeah.
it's just a little bit different. But I just think you're going to keep three quarterbacks because you don't want who would I think Cedric Wilson would have been our emergency quarterback if we would have got one more guy hurt during one
Yep.
of those games. So you
Yep.
don't want that situation. I don't think the NFL wants that because the Broncos end up living that reality one time not long ago.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look what happened to San Francisco 49ers last year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, you're right. If
So,
they could have had, hey, it happens, man. I mean, we got banged up. We were very close to having Cedric Wilson come in to be so it's
mhm,
like,
mhm.
It happens. I don't know. That's good. That I don't know. I really don't know, Scott. It's going to be interesting to see what teams do because some may not want to do that because they're like, oh, that's such a valuable roster spot. You can have something else, and they may just hope that their third quarterback is like on their practice squad, and then if something happens, they can bring them up, and hope that two guys don't get hurt in one game. But
Right.
because it is an extra roster spot when you keep three
Yeah,
quarterbacks,
for
you
sure.
know,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
they're not going to contribute on special teams, like because you could, that extra spot could give you a guy that can come play, make tackles on special teams and something like that. But now you got to make those guys inactive and have them. So it's just weird. It's just, it's going to be, let's see. Did Tendo save? Yeah, I think he's going to make the team because he's really good on special teams. But I don't know about the starting unit, but I think he will definitely.
Yeah, I think Tyndall makes the 53. Tyndall will make
Yeah,
the
me
53
too.
for sure.
I think so too because
Yeah.
they're saying he's really good on special teams. So if nothing
He
else,
is. He is. He is.
they had to change the old rule to get teams to carry more than 7. That's why active player 48 has. Yes, that is true. That's in part of the rule, right? If you keep 8, so you can keep 8, and then you get that right exactly to get teams to carry more than 7 on the 53.
Mhm.
So I know it's just so if you do, then you can keep that extra quarterback. So it is a weird rule. I've read it over and over. I'm like, oh my god, so many little things. But basically, it's changed because they had the emerging third string quarterback a few years ago, but they've changed it a little bit now and they have some different rules to go along with it. But I am for it. Give that team that option because I do
Yeah,
not want to
I'm
see
for it
Cedric
too.
Wilson coming in tossing the football around, So and it can be easy now. You see how fast you can go out because Bridgewater was ruled out. He had no concussion whatsoever, but someone saw something and that was following up the Tua game, and it just happened to be the Miami Dolphins. I think they were going to, like, the first hit they took, they were going to take our quarterback out. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of BS, but you see, that, he can be taken out. If they think, oh, he's wobbled a little bit getting up, that's it. You're done now. And, so who knows? So I think that third string quarterback, a lot of teams are going to realize, oh, we could get to that quick in this NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree, man. We need 3 QB because the eye in the sky is going to screw us at some point, meaning the people that review that concussion stuff are going to say,
The
oh, he
spotters.
wobbled. Yeah, because they didn't. The funny thing is, if there hadn't been like a break in the action when Bridgewater got hurt against, they weren't even going to call it, but then they was like, for whatever reason, they saw him and then they changed to say he had to come out. So just weird, man. Just weird. And it just happened to be he was a first player ever taken out due to the concussion rule. And it came right after the Dolphins' whole controversy about, oh, they played Tua when he was obviously concussed against Buffalo and all of that stuff. And then, so it's just, it is what it is. Hey, they love getting the Dolphins. That's what we always say as Dolphin fans. They sometimes love that. But anyway, guys, you are watching Dolphins Chatter on Dolphins Thursday. If you happen to be new here, please throw a laser pass at that subscribe button. And if you're a regular here, do as always, because we love you guys. Give us that thumbs up, but I like to say fins up to fellow Dolphins fans. Well, Steve, I don't really have too much more to say. We've talked about it. There's only so much you can say about a guy that's not on the team yet. Jonathan Taylor, you're either going to have people want him or not. As I always say, once he's wearing the Auckland orange, then I'm all for it. I'm not for giving up a first-round draft pick for him. Because Mike McDaniel hasn't even had a first-round draft pick since he's been the head coach. So, and I think we need, and it supplements the roster with cheaper talent. Yes, we may not hit. Hopefully, the Dolphins are picking in the late 20s. Hopefully, they pick number 32. Then that would make us all happy.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you still need that. You still need those picks to supplement because you're going to have to pay Wilkins a bag of money. You're going to have to pay Waddle a bag of money. And God willing, they're going to have to pay Tua because he turns out to be the franchise quarterback that we're all hoping. And finally just falls out the whole year staying healthy, then you're going to have to pay that man because yes, he'll be on his 5th-year option next year, but you're still going to have to pay him eventually. You can't keep on pushing that down if he falls out.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why draft picks help because then you alleviate some of that. If you can find talent to supplement those high-end players, or if not, we're going to have a Rams situation. Now, if we win the Super Bowl like the Rams and then have to blow it up, that's one thing. But if we blow it all up and don't even win the Super Bowl, and then you're like, oh my God, what was that all for? But then I think heads will roll. So, heads will roll if in the next couple of years we don't make a serious push to the Super Bowl. I'm not even saying win it, but if you're not winning some playoff games over the next couple of years, Greer's going to be on the hot seat. I would say Greer's already on the warm seat because Ross has come on record saying he's suspecting results.
Yeah.
So he won't come out and say he's on the hot seat, but when they ask him, oh, if all these moves and all the upfront money you've given, Are you expecting results? And what was his answer? Like, damn right, or something to that
Yeah,
regard, right?
no, yeah. He
Yeah,
wants, he wants a Super Bowl win. He's 83 years old, so and he's never
there
had
you
one.
go. He
So
goes, I'm going to be singing any six if they take Cedric's contract. There you go.
mhm.
Yeah, that would help, though, if someone takes that off. And I think Cedric Wilson's going to be fine. I mean, I think he's going to be fine somewhere. He's just not a good fit for our system for whatever reason. But I mean, the guy has some talent. He played well in Dallas, so he obviously knows how to be a receiver in this league. But for whatever reason, last year it just didn't gel. Granted, he's on a team with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so it's hard to get a lot of love, as a third
Yeah,
receiver. But I really thought when he was going to come in and he was going to, but then Shortfield ended up being more or less the third receiver and all that kind of stuff. I really thought Wilson was going to be great in that. So that's why I don't get over like, oh, it's going to be easy. Oh, it's going to be burials. I don't know. Who knows? So the one thing we know, we got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Hopefully Jalen Waddle is okay. He says he is, but he hasn't been practicing. So I'm going to take a bigger breath when I actually see him. I think the week of the first, he'll probably be back out there with the team practicing. That's my
yeah.
gut.
I hope so. I hope so. I really do.
Yeah, because we need him. He's really good, and he makes Tyreek Hill that was more of a danger because you can't get
Mhm,
only focus to one of them. You got to
mhm.
really pay attention to two, then which frees up everything else in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
And
for
that's
sure,
what we need
for sure.
because hey, that's what it's great. Anyway, that's it, man. Almost just rambling on at this point. It's time to go. But Steve, we will be on real soon. You be on your phones. Be by your phone. I would sound important, Steve. Be by your phone. If there's a trade that breaks out and we see that someone's coming to the Dolphins, we're gonna have to do a breaking news show with
Absolutely,
every other
absolutely.
guy like us that just love to talk about the Miami Dolphins. But who cares? Scotty can still find us. Jamaican from Zion and Hammer Time, they can still find us and all the other great guys that come in here. So it'll
Yes,
be
sir.
awesome. If not, it can be you and I talking about it. So it's all good.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Big fins up to all of you guys, and you guys all rock. It makes it fun. And Steve, you can have your final thought on anything you want before I close out the show.
Okay. I just wanted to say this week, this preseason game should be interesting. We're going to see a lot of our. It's going to be a dress rehearsal for the most part, with exception of a few a few players here and there that won't be playing because of injury, like Zeeler, Waddle, and a couple others. But it should be it should be a good test for the Dolphins defense and offense. So I'm looking forward to it. And folks, on your way out of the chat, please make sure you hit that like button, share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. I know, Rob, you're close to 400, right?
They're getting close, man. We're
So
getting close, Steve. We, Steve, and Justin, and everyone that's Hank, and all the people that been on my. I look at it as a we because I'm just here for the fun of talking Dolphins. But yeah, so the more subscribers, I look at it as teammates because I'm not just here to say, oh, I got subscribers. I'm Big Joe Blow. That's all I am, a Joe Blow that's happened to be named Rob. So I just love talking Dolphins. New Finland, thank you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. He's a good guy. He goes into a lot of the shows.
yeah, I've seen Newfoundland around. Yep, he goes around.
He was in the
does.
Finns tailgate earlier today.
Yep.
And guys, and Ender, I know you like the Finns Talk Sports Network. They're having a show going live now on their bandwagon show over there.
Mm-hmm.
So a big fins up to all you guys. Like I said, you guys all rock. And with that, Steve, let's do your Dolphins number one. Are you
Absolutely.
ready?
Absolutely.
All right.
Remember, Dolphins number one, baby. Dolphins number one.
Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They